The three old men, whose ages add up to over 200, were shoplifting. They grabbed hams thicker than their arms and shoved them straight into their pants. But that wasn't enough. The bigger the item, the more they stole. They kept stuffing things until their pants and shirts were bulging. Only then did they shuffle out of the supermarket on their aged legs. But the security guard at the exit wasn't to be fooled. He hauled the three of them straight to the police station. The detectives were speechless facing these three men over 50. After bringing them in, there was nothing to do but lecture them and then let them go. Don't be fooled by their clumsy hands and slow feet. They actually planned to rob the town's biggest bank. A few months earlier, George went to the bank asking why he had received a bank warning. The manager checked his account and found that George hadn't received his pension for months. There was no money in his bank card, so of course he received a loan collection notice. Now interest had surged, and the repayment amount had tripled. If George didn't repay, he would receive the red envelope, which would mean the bank would take his house. When George tried to negotiate with the bank manager, a burst of gunfire shattered the bank's calm. The robbers had clear roles. Some controlled the hostages, others forced tellers to hand over cash. No one could fight bullets. The tellers handed over the money without hesitation. And just like that, the robbers walked away with over $1 million. This scene plunged George into deep thought. A few days later, George's two good buddies saw media reports saying the police couldn't solve the bank heist. The robbers had likely already left town enjoying the loot. Originally, the three old men only intended to watch the spectacle. But then the factory called a meeting, production had fallen, and profits shrank. The factory canceled everyone's pensions. That immediately threw the three elders into crisis. George faced losing his home to the bank. Willie needed a large sum for medical treatment. Bert had to care for his granddaughter. Without pensions, he might never even see his favorite granddaughter again. Soon George received the red envelope from the bank. With nowhere left to turn, he gathered his old buddies, told them everything he had seen at the bank, and proposed they rob the bank themselves to solve their plight. At first, the two brothers thought George was joking, but George pulled out the bank's red envelope on the spot, saying if they succeeded, they'd have more money than they could spend for the rest of their lives. Even if they failed, they'd only be caught, put into prison with food, drink, and care. In prison, nobody would bully old men like them. Hearing George's reasoning, the other two immediately thought the plan was feasible. So the three desperate elders decided, with trembling hands, to make one last gamble.